and welcome to this latest instalment of Tones of the Hammer, the podcast right here in Hamilton, Ontario, where we tell all things music, all things the creative industries, and I'm super stoked today to welcome Lisa La Rocca. Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks so much for coming down. That's the coolest name, by the way, Lisa, as well.
Thank you.
Love that. So, thanks for coming down, first of all. How are you doing?
Good. Busy.
Good. Yeah, I know.
It's a busy spring.
I can imagine, which means it's going to be a busy summer too.
Yes,
then, hopefully, you know. Which is
this should be the slow period, but
yeah,
it's not.
I know. I found that with the music industry and creative industries of Hamilton, it seems that in January, February, everything just dies. Nothing happens. And then April hits or March hits and it's like everybody wakes up all of a sudden, right? It's so crazy. It's so crazy. So anyway, for myself, Lisa, and anybody that doesn't know you and what you do and why you're on the show, basically, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story and what you do? Because I'm fascinated to know what director of operations, right, is for Sonic Unyon Records, yeah?
Correct, yes.
Tell us about what you do.
Yeah, so Sonic Unyon Records, to start, is we do quite a few different things. So we have a record label and management company. The record label's been around for 30-ish years. And then we have venues, so Mills Hardware and Bridgeworks in Hamilton, and then Sonic Hall in Guelph. And then we have a festivals and live events side as well.
Nice.
So we do Supercrawl in Hamilton. We're the management company there. And then Because Beer, Why Not Wine, Fresh Up Fest, a new coffee fest called Just Java.
That's a busy schedule already.
Yes,
just thinking
I
about
could keep
right?
listing. We also contract other events as well.
Yeah.
So when the Grey Cup was in Hamilton, we did the festival and a bunch of other things. So we're quite busy and quite
it's
spread
wild.
out.
Totally. That sounds like all these events are what I've seen on whether it's socials or just around town and happening and stuff. So I imagine the logistics of putting these events together is just you have to keep your diary organized, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of details.
Yeah, that goes into it. And they're all great events as well, from the ones that I've experienced as well. And you also said that you do you're part and something to do with Supercrawl, right, as well, which is the biggest thing in Hamilton for sure,
Yeah, so I mean the organizing and logistics and booking and all of that for that one, which is quite a large endeavor.
Oh yeah,
aside from everything else we do.
Wow.
And it's a year-round production, right? Right when it finishes, we start planning the next one, so it's quite a big.
Yeah, 100%. It's just nonstop all the time, right? So, how do you get into doing something like that as a job? Because when I interview people, it's usually musicians, or it's usually people that are, I guess, creating art, more the creators and stuff. So, what's the story of how does somebody get into doing that? Where did you study? What did you do? So
I went to Mac for communications and multimedia. There's an internship component to that program, which is kind of rare with communication programs in universities. There's not usually a placement program. So I, emailed all of the big major labels and big companies in Toronto, and then the one in Hamilton, which was Sonic Unyon. They ended up replying. And I got really lucky. Actually, none of the majors even replied to me.
Wow.
Part of this program, too, was finding your own internship. So I think a lot of times those programs, the schools reach out, so it looks more official. But it was just kind of me emailing, be like, hey, want me to come in? And Sonic Unyon replied. So I got a couple-month internship there before I finished my undergrad. And then I did my master's at McMaster as well. And just kind of stayed around, was helping with Supercrawl. And then they hired me full time when I finished.
That's great. Which I know you just said there about the idea of schools reaching out and it looking more legit and stuff. But I feel like a lot of the time when, I speak to people like yourself or whatever, I think that putting yourself forward, like it says, helping out with events and stuff and trying to get yourself out there and do things right. I always find that's usually the common theme when people are in these places of work, essentially, is that he's getting out and doing it, right?
I think you need to know the difference between volunteering and what jobs you should be being paid for. But there's nothing wrong with volunteering. There actually used to be quite a different idea of volunteering and helping out in your community and, meeting your community. And I think now there's, you know, in some aspects, there's a little bit of a negative connotation to like working for free.
Yeah.
But volunteering is a much different thing. So if you want to get into an industry, don't do a job that someone normally would get paid for, but you can volunteer and you can gain a lot of experience, but most importantly, like meet a lot of people that can actually get you where you want to go.
Yeah, that's it, right? It's all part of networking, is doing that stuff, right? Isn't it? Which is, I see like, exactly like you said, there is a difference between it, but so many people are just like, oh, well, I'm not doing that for free. And it's just like, dude, you just can't wait for people to come and throw money at you to do like a job that anybody, you know.
Yeah. And if they don't see you out, they don't meet you, they don't get to know you, they don't get to know your work or like how, you know, helpful and knowledgeable you are. Totally. They're not going to come find you. Like 100%. You said, they're not coming to your house and knocking on your door. There's other people that.
Yeah, that can do it. Yeah. Do it.
I
feel that. Yeah, I feel that. So so usually on the podcast we're usually talking about like Hamilton's music scene, which I feel like, of course, Sonic Unyon is so much, you know, kind of one of the key areas of Hamilton's music scene and stuff, you know. So often I always ask like artists is like, what is the, you know, kind of the struggles, I guess, that Hamilton is seeing as a music scene to grow, sort of thing. And of course, like with you know, we've spoken before, like you've just been at the Junos and all that sort of stuff, which I'm sure was super fun. So it's like you're seeing all the other stuff that's going off in Canada's music industry. So what's kind of like the missing thing, or the thing that Hamilton's needing at the minute to kind of grow a little more, to become like, you know, rather than everybody talking about Toronto, like why, you know, to make them talk about Hamilton. So because I feel like you guys have a really good insight into this.
Yeah,
kind of thing, right?
I think developing audiences, and that is everybody's responsibility.
Yeah,
like coming out to things, going to shows, and also being willing to pay a little bit for them.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, you know, the $6,000 Taylor Swift tickets or anything, but totally, you know, putting $10 or $20 to a local artist show every once in a while, and coming out. I think especially in certain audiences, there's a missing connection there. Like, we're getting the shows, you know, there are some spaces, but where is everybody?
Yeah.
And they're there.
Yeah.
But when it comes to actually making it out of the house and going to the place, going to the show, going to the event, I think a lot of people change their mind at the last minute and just stay home. And we need to not do that if we want our music industry to develop. It's just, it really is the thing that we're seeing.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And is this kind of a thing that you see, obviously, I mean, like to an extent with other people around Canada and stuff? Is this a thing that you see, is that where you see the difference between like a successful town that's doing like well with the music industry and one that's not? Is that tend to be the common denominator?
There definitely are towns with very active audiences, audiences that are used to going out, audiences that are used to spending a little bit of money. And again, this isn't really about spending or having a lot of money. It's more about support. Even the free events, sometimes it's a struggle to get people to.
That's mind-blowing.
Even people who are okay with spending the money, they buy a $50 or $60 ticket. We're still seeing, you know, 20, sometimes more than 20% not even showing up when they've purchased a ticket. So they've spent their money. So I don't know what's happening in between people's days that they're deciding to stay home, but it's a very large percentage of people.
That's so wild.
I can't imagine buying a ticket unless something like I was really ill, or obviously something happens, but then I try to give it away.
Yeah, exactly.
It's large numbers of people that just don't show up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it affects the whole economy and the whole industry and the venues. And, you know, if we book staff because the show is sold out at 500 and only 350 show up, you know, we're overstaffed as well. 100%. So it's a weird thing.
Yeah, so it's a total business side of things as well, right? Because if you're paying for people that don't need to be working there, you know, the company's losing out, or the bar's losing out, or whatever event's losing out, and then, you know, it all digs into that kind of financial side of it, right? That's probably, and I think talking to a lot of musicians that I've had on the podcast as well, is the thing that, like, I think that's usually the missing, like, communication or understanding between like the venues that pay or the festivals that pay or whatever and the artists, because they're just like, oh well, there's no money, but there's all these like there's all these links in between to make stuff successful, right? Which
and we always try to pay artists fairly. Like, we don't have anyone perform for free. There's always a guarantee or some kind of deal where like someone's not coming out, but as an artist too, you have to kind of do the math. If you want a $2,000 fee,
you've got to bring people.
You have to think of how many tickets does that equal, right? So if only 4 or 5 people come, you have to understand why the venue can't give you maybe $200 is like, you know, something that the venue can do and make work. But everyone should always be paid fairly, and that's 100%. Why we need the audiences to come out and be present. Even free shows, like we can't do more of them if they're funded from somewhere or they're just being done. Maybe they're being compensated through bar sales or whatever it is. If we're hosting a free show and no one shows up, you're not going to see any more of those. Right. So as an artist as well, going to your friends' shows, you are going to actually get more shows and get better paying gigs. And everybody has to support the whole like ecosystem of it.
100%. And do you think it's in a case of like, so is it a thing where like people just don't know how to like promote their events, or like they don't know, they're not promoting the right things, or is it kind of like a cultural thing of people just, you know, not good? Because I know, like, for example, is like even, you know, like myself and other artists, even trying to promote your music, it's the same trying to promote an event. You're just like doing, you know, everything you can to try and get people through the door or whatever, you know. So is it like, oh, you could do everything you can, but then it's just in the culture of people these days?
Possibly. There's also, I mean, definitely at some points there's an influx of events. Like there's more than we probably had 5 or 10 years ago. But in some ways there isn't. But in some ways, like, sometimes there's 4 or 5 things I could go to in a night and I have to pick one or two, you know. But I think just being out there, like even the restaurants and like the whole downtown, the whole like nighttime economy, it's like people being out there, right? Outside. So it's important to like get out.
Support. It's not just for like Christmas, as they say, you know, when you get a pet or whatever. Because it's so exciting to see like the downtown kind of area growing as well, because it's like all the time there's new bars, there's new initiatives or new creative spaces that are just trying to, you know, build it. It's got so much potential, this city, is what I always say to everybody, right? And it's it'd be so sad if the only reason that it didn't work is because people just refused to go out or didn't like, or bought the tickets and didn't turn up, you know. It's so sad.
And we know there's interest, like we see you know, comments on social media or whatever, and people being like, this is so exciting, this is so great, and then I don't see those people at the shows.
I know.
So
man,
where are you?
Come on, guys, we got to do better. I know
you're not all busy all the time, but I think it's just like making a point, because it's easy also to just come home and be tired or be busy with all the things you have to do, and all the engagements you have to go to. But just making a point of just once in a while going to something.
And it's not like you have to be out every night, right? It's even just like once a week.
Or spending a ton of money. But even just like, if I'm like sitting at home now and I'm like, I could just relax. I tend to like push myself to even go for an hour or two just to
just show your face and see what's happening, right? And and people don't realize how much that helps an artist in so many ways, whether it's the financial side of it, where somebody's bought a ticket to come, or even just like seeing that somebody's like actually taking it out of the night to come and just see what you're all about or what you're doing, or, you know, investigate a little bit of what's going off. You know, it means it's the whole basis of community, right? You know,
it means means more to people than you think.
Exactly. When
you're like taking a nap and you're deciding to blow it off, like it means a lot to people to see you in the room too.
100%. Because I think as well, it's probably something that's like people who are not in the music industry or like in the creative industry probably again don't realize how much we rely on that kind of community and that kind of like somebody taking the effort sort of thing, you know. And like you said, somebody thinks, oh well, if I'm not there it doesn't matter because there'll be another 50 people there, but it's, you know, 25% of the audience says it, then nobody's there, right? You know. So it's like it makes a difference, which is interesting. Okay, interesting. That's food. Even I'd not even thought about that, to be honest. It's that's interesting. And also Sonic Unyon, as well as doing all these events and stuff, it's essentially a record label, you know. That's how it started. I was watching the 25-year documentary the other day, which is so interesting to watch. Great job whoever did that.
It was very, very well done.
It was. It should be on Netflix, so it'd be great to see it on Netflix also.
Did you watch it on YouTube?
Yes, I did. Which is again comes on to the idea with artists. So in terms of like a record label in 2025 or whatever, how does like, you know, what are things that Sonic Unyon like? I guess the industry, what I'm trying to say is the industry has changed so much from like record labels dominating what's going off in the industry and stuff. So how does Sonic Unyon kind of keep, you know, relevant and you know, but while keeping that indie record label side going, you know, is like and I guess what would be like advice for artists that are thinking about like, I don't know, pitching to something like Sonic Unyon or striving for that independent record deal or whatever, you know, how's that kind of side of Sonic Unyon vibe?
I mean, we're always like an artist forward label. Most indies, especially in Canada, are a little bit more favorable to artists than, you know, to their own bottom line.
Totally.
In a lot of ways, you know, Sonic Unyon's label is, and has always been, I think, out of like true like love of music and interest by you know, whoever is kind of curating that. So it's really, you know, music that we love and want to represent.
And does it tend to be like Hamilton based artists, or is it like
often, not always, but often, and you know, usually just because we can see those artists out playing in the community as well, but not all of them. Represented lots of Canadian talent over the years. And some American and UK a little bit. But yeah, I think like there's a couple things to consider in a lot of ways. The way the record industry makes money is very different. Yeah. So you have to know where the income from your music is coming from or going to come from. So we also do management now because live is a lot more profitable for artists. Yeah. You'll see even big artists, you'll see them touring constantly now, a lot more than
they used to.
All of a sudden everybody's touring like every year because performing is where some income can come from. So you have to know where your strengths of income are going to come from. So is that a management deal or is it a record deal? Know the differences. In a lot of cases too, we're the record label and management for some artists. But know the differences of what each should do and the benefit to them. So are you getting enough work? Are you established enough to need a team of any kind? Yeah. Right? So are you ready for record label? Are you ready for a manager, an agent, anybody who is going to be part of your team? If you're bringing in $0 for yourself right now, how do you expect I think in a lot of cases, like people think somehow those positions just get paid out of, I don't know where out of. But it's a very important, and a lot, and even us, but like a lot of managers, labels will work with you just because they really like your music. Yeah. But if you're approaching them, you should think a little bit about how they're going to end up getting paid. So you should have a little bit of a starter that they can build on.
So that starter, is that like is that you showing that you can pull the streams? Is it showing that you can pull people into gigs, or is it like, I guess in a way I guess really nowadays a label can't afford to just take a chance on something unless they're like, whoa, this is really special sort of thing, you know?
Yeah. Or you have a little bit of a starter. So if you go to a local show and, you know, you filled the room or your streams are pretty good. Like we're never going to work with somebody just because it seems profitable. I don't want to say majors will do that, but there are some labels and some companies and some managers that don't really care about the music. They just want to make money. Yeah. 100%. But then there are a lot that, you know, want to care about the music. But in some way you should have a starter. If you've never played a show before, a manager can't get you, like they very rarely can start from zero. Yeah. Like you should have some basis. You should have something. So that's what I would suggest. Like know where your strengths are. Not everybody is going to have a very high number of streams, great attendance at their live shows, whatever else, have press already. Like not everybody's going to have all of it, but you should have something that you can show that you're on the way to. Yeah, totally. Any member of your team is like a step up. Yeah. like a step in your ladder, but they're not like they're at the ground.
Well, that's it, right? Yeah.
Your music has to be good too. That's kind of the ground. That's the grass.
Yeah.
But then, you have to kind of build up from there. So they're not going to be a miracle worker, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And again, I think it's back to that communication thing between an artist and, the business side of things, is understanding that is like, it's not like a golden ticket to suddenly have a chunk of cash and everybody's going to do everything for you, right? And also, and again, I think there's this total misconception of how the music industry's changed, right? So it's like the idea, like exactly like you say, that an artist now, like back in the day, maybe they're signed of artists because they saw them sell out, like you say, a great place or whatever, a great venue, and because the more money was there, right? To monetize it, sort of thing. And I think it just comes back to surely that communication, like how many artists that you just speak to that just like expect all of a sudden they need a manager and they need a social media person and they need this and all that. But again, like you said, where's the money from? Where's the money from? It's crazy, it's crazy to
and it's not to say you won't get there, or your stuff isn't good enough to get there, or
we're not killing dreams here,
we're not killing any dreams. It's possible, and it's very realistic to acquire those things eventually, but having a good foundation is the most important. You also, I mean, if you currently have 0 streams, 0 fans, nothing, and someone offers you like a $50,000 record label or something, like record deal, they're probably scamming you.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I don't know, you're gonna, if they, a lot of, you hear the stories of rappers that had like fancy cars and jewelry and stuff, but they didn't realize that the cost of all those things had to be recouped.
Yeah, exactly.
$100,000 music videos, and then they're like, I had 1 billion streams and I saw no money, and everything that especially a major is spending on you, they're gonna recoup. They're gonna get back. So you're not making any money until all that's spent. So you really, I get angry now when I see all the stories from especially bigger artists who signed a contract, didn't know what they were signing, and then they blame somebody else. We're kind of past that now with all the information we have. Get a lawyer to read it, get someone who knows what they're doing to read it and see what you're actually in for, because if it seems too good to be true, probably is.
Exactly, and like you said, for the sake of like splashing out on a lawyer to do something like that, if it's going to save you all that time and money, and I was speaking to like somebody who's in like entertainment law recently, and they exactly like they said, is just like, get the contract sorted out, make sure it's all cool, then stick it in a drawer, and then you can just forget about it if you've just signed the right deal, you know what I mean? And if it's the right thing, I think it ends up being this big taboo like subject again with artists, and again they see that their eyes light up when they see like an advance or like what they're doing, but they don't understand that side of things. It's and the information's all out there, right? It's like all you have to do is look on YouTube and look at this stuff to see what major labels are doing, what indie labels are doing, right? It's all there for us to see.
Learn from other people's mistakes now that we can hear about them a lot easier. But if you're not going to get a world tour if you've never done a show at a local venue. So just like realistic expectations. And then when a manager or a label or whatever does want to work with you, it's a lot easier because they're starting from, you will both understand the point you're starting from.
Yeah, exactly. And,
the revenue that comes from that and how you're building it instead of expecting to start up here.
And so if an artist reached out to Sonic Unyon then and says, I want signing, and they're fairly new and they've just got a few streets, what would you, so you would be saying more build more in your local kind of community, more build up more gigs, more experience in gigs, try build up your streams and stuff like that, and basically just get the package right is basically thing.
Like we, especially local artists, I mean, we're pretty familiar with a lot of the community. If we're considering signing somebody or working with someone, we're gonna watch you for a while. We're gonna come out to quite a few shows. Maybe we'll book you at our venue or at one of our festivals, and we're gonna kind of see how a few months goes. See if we book you, see how you are to work with. And it's not just gonna be like, I want to be signed. It's like, okay, so come in and sign a deal. So expect that there's gonna be quite a long period. Sometimes it's more than a year for some artists that we actually intend to work with. But it's like, we're going to build before we get into agreement. Because once you get into an agreement, I mean, label agreements are a little different because if you agree to do 2 records, after that you can move on. But a management agreement's a little bit harder to get out of. So nobody wants to get into one of those and then have to break up.
Yeah, totally.
Before the number of years is done if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you want to, you know, do a little bit of like research, a little bit of like dating around it to see if it's going to work for both parties before. So it's never going to happen quick. There shouldn't be like urgency. Yeah. You don't want to be urgent either. That's not going to help you.
And that's I guess that's a good advice to avoid scams, right? Exactly like you said, because I imagine somebody just reaches out on a Instagram or something like that to somebody, and you know, especially if they're like if it's like a young artist as well, that's like, you know, they're trying to do something like that, you know, it's easy again, to put that urgency on a deal all of a sudden is that it forces people into it, right? You know, because they're just like, oh, I don't want to miss out on this opportunity, right? So if you're on an upward trajectory, like the deal probably won't go away. I don't want to like ruin anybody's deal saying that, but like people will, if you're ready for it, most likely people will be approaching you. You'll start hearing just like, you know, industry saying, do you have a manager? Are you looking for a label? And then, you know, you're kind of maybe in the area where you're ready. And then, it's not going to be a week or you've missed your chance. If you get a random email from somebody that you've never met that is claiming something or wants you to pay them for an opportunity, probably a scam. Yeah, so when somebody's at that point then, and it's like the year and people are starting to approach them, I guess what is, I mean, just going further on like what to be looking at, you know, I mean, I guess it's hard to say because I imagine like every artist different. So it's like, you know, one artist might need a manager more than they need a social media person, or somebody might need it. So when you're at that point and you've got like people bombarding you with like, oh, we want to, you know, what should somebody be looking out for? Is it kind of the idea of like, what can somebody do for me to like improve sort of thing, or, you know?
Yeah. Where do you have more work than you can handle, first of all? So if you're getting show requests, like people wanting to book you more than you can keep up with, you probably need an agent. If you're getting, you know, again, more people that want to work with you than you can handle, just in general, maybe you need a manager. If your music's doing really well, and you're getting a little bit of like streaming money or something, then maybe you need a label. Or your music's doing pretty well and you'd benefit from a little bit of marketing money. Maybe you need a label. So understanding how they can help you, but also understanding like what's the threshold that I can't do it myself anymore.
What's missing? Interesting.
Because they're also taking a piece of your income. So you don't want to get them at a point where, again, you're not making very much. Because if you even make $200 and you have to give whatever of it away. But also, I mean, they're taking some of your revenue. So you want to make sure that you're bringing in enough and that you're at a career point where that's beneficial to both of you.
And it makes sense, right? Because it's I think it's so hard. Artists don't understand, like you said, back to that whole monetization thing of doing of what labels do essentially. And especially in a time where people complain about Spotify not paying enough and all this stuff and everything, but I think I've always said everybody's so focused on streaming income or like, you know, Spotify income, and I'm like, there's so many other ways to monetize your music and your artistry, right? It becomes this obsession for people, but it's just like you've got to be so multifaceted to do things, right? It's so important.
Yeah, and nobody can do everything. But knowing where your strengths are. If you have a really strong brand that people like, maybe your merch makes you the most money. Or, you know, again, if your shows are great or you know you have huge audiences in certain areas, maybe live performance does. Or maybe you are a streaming artist who's, I don't know, got lucky on TikTok, which you shouldn't be aiming for that because there's no way to guarantee it. I mean, you can aim for it as one of your goals, but that shouldn't be your whole plan because it's not guaranteed. On social media, people gravitate to things we don't understand why. And all of a sudden they're big. But maybe that's what like kind of brought you up a level, and then you maximize that. I have 10 million views on this, and then use that to your advantage, but you can pick at any of those things. You don't need all of them to happen.
Yeah, totally. People are so obsessed with virality, right? And it's just like, I think, again, the more and more you research into this stuff, is like, virality is great for like the 1 week or whatever that you're doing well, but then how many, you know, and I imagine the industry just moves so fast where a major might sign somebody who's doing really well on TikTok because they see something or whatever. But I think it's got to be something where they can, in a way, I guess, exploit that while it's big sort of thing and see what happens. And if, you know, they can, and they can afford, I guess, to like lose, you know, they can afford to just let that go after that, you know.
So if they pick up everything that goes viral, you know, maybe one does have a long lasting career or whatever, but you know, the rest, what happens? I don't know if we've been in this kind of social media world long enough that we actually see fully in their careers what happens. But I think that's exactly what happens. It's like, well, we tried, thank you, and then you're kind of lost, right? So it's like it's not banking on that as your ticket. There is no ticket. Like you don't just one day.
People watch all these movies, right, about like I guess like the 60s or 70s, and like, you know, I think there's like the movie about like Motley Crue, and it's all this big rock and roll kind of lifestyle sort of thing it's just not there anymore, right?
It was always very rare. But it's not rare to be able to have a career in music, whether it's as an artist or behind the scenes, but even as an artist. Some people make a full, very good living being hired musicians.
Yeah, totally.
In bands and for recording and that kind of thing. Some people make a great regular salary just performing Canada. Or even just this local, just doing Ontario. Because they have a great fan base. So there's different goals and there's different levels of success that everyone considers, but you can make a living. That's not a crazy idea.
It's not, right? Yeah.
But to think that like you're going to be humming walking down the street and then someone's gonna be like, you're the next, like that is you know, that's where it gets a little bit discouraging. I think. Yeah,
because I feel like they're always, as well, again, in that social media world, and I guess even with artists that have made the success, there's always some stuff in the background that's like, you know, the one thing I always say, and I never take any credit from him, but somebody like Ed Sheeran is like, I was so obsessed with Ed Sheeran when he was coming up, but he was like, he sold his story of this whole idea of like, oh, he was on like, you know, sofa surfing around London, and then he got this trip to like Los Angeles, and he just happened to be in Jamie Foxx's house, and I'm just like, surely if you dig deeper into that, there's something lined up there. It didn't just happen across like Jamie Foxx and he invited him round, right? I hate
those stories as encouragement. Like you always hear them say like, don't give up. You know, just happened to be seen by this person. And it's like, no, they were your cousin. Like, there's always some connection. Or it's taken them a really long time to get there, and they actually had a huge network that eventually got them there. It's not like, you know, it's not like I was just walking around and Madonna invited me over and I blew her away. Like, that's not really how it happens. And I mean, that's why I hate those kind of speeches at like the Grammys or the Oscars or whatever, where they're like, yes, keep going, especially if it's your passion and you love it. Absolutely. But to expect that, the hard work, like it's not going to happen at a hard work and time and effort and slowly building and getting, you know, small successes and medium successes. Is misinformation.
100%. And it's the misinformation as well of like, that's what makes it the difference. Is I feel like if you're going to do music in the music industry, it's either got to be like, you've got to treat it like a real job as such, you know, a real business or a real job that you're doing, rather than just like, you know, a hobby that you do on the side sort of thing. You know, it's kind of because it even pushes, you know, I was watching something the other day where it says it even pushes you to kind of like, to have no backup plan, you know, it pushes you to work hard because that's the only thing you can do, right? You know, it's,
but also a real job that you're assessing along the way. So if you work somewhere where the maximum pay you could possibly get is less than you want, you would assess and find another place to work or find another job. If you're doing something that's not where you want to be, assessing what's going on is very important.
Yeah, totally.
Whether you're being realistic, but also whether you're doing the steps. Is there different things you can do?
Why am I not getting past these like blocks or whatever where I'm at, and also because there's that element as well, you've got to love it, because again, anybody starting out in the music industry is making no money out of it until they learn. It takes all these building blocks to learn how to do that, right? It's a big learning curve.
And again, maybe it's other things. There's lots of people that are musicians themselves that work in the industry, that work as hired musicians for other people's things to make the money to either fund what they're doing or to make the money to live so they can continue. And a lot of people that we would consider very successful that have other jobs on the side. And if music is their passion, they can find another thing that they can also contribute and still be happy with that. So there's a lot of different things you can do. Nobody should give up, but you should assess what's going on and how realistic and what you can do to keep moving yourself forward.
Totally. Yeah, and it's back to being that multifaceted kind of thing, whether it's you've got to delve into so much stuff to make it work. You can't just expect to be the singer of the band and just make your millions that way, sort of thing. It's
and you never know what's gonna happen even if you get there, right? So having other things to fall back on. Or in between, or maybe you get a really huge record deal and then they drop you after one release. What do you do? So just really, and I mean, the biggest thing too is just expanding your network and your contacts. That's what's going to help you the most. Whether you choose to just be an artist or be in the industry, or that's going to help if something does not go to plan, and then you have other people to reach out to, or you have other avenues to get into people's ear, right?
Which is a great thing that Hamilton does, is what I find, is especially coming from the UK, a small town in the UK, is I love the networking nights and stuff that go off in Hamilton. It's how I started working here at Halo. It's how I've met so many people and stuff, and they're so essential. And again, it's back to this with it being free events or whatever, you know what I mean? They're just there happening, and if you just show your face, you never know who you're going to meet, right? And that's what it's, and networking is hard. It's hard to walk into a room of strangers that you don't know and try and be not selling yourself, but selling yourself, but without being overbearing on somebody, it's so hard, right? But it's I love that Hamilton does that. It's great.
Yeah,
part of the community.
I love that story. That we've heard, from the networking night specifically that were started 2 years ago. A lot of great things come out of them. And I think those things are important, and everybody knows that they're there for networking, right?
Exactly.
So it's
there's no need to be fear going and talking to people, right? That's the idea.
You're not
of the
approaching
night.
someone while they're eating dinner with their family or something
That's
weird
it.
or I mean, even messaging people when they're on their night off. Sometimes I get DMs on a Sunday afternoon and I'm this maybe isn't the time. And I want to respond, but maybe they intend to respond. They're with their family or whatever, and then it just goes missed. Exactly. So a lot of the times, if you're reaching out to people, maybe they don't even mean to ignore you. But if you go to things where they're open or looking for that, you have a little bit more face time.
100%. Because that's, and again, that's another thing that's such a learning curve, is even how to network that. It's such a learning curve of how again, doing that, not being overbearing, but trying to show what you can do and be useful to somebody, it's all part of, it pulls into everything, the social skills and everything, right? Which is, it's great. Again, it's great to see that in the city happening.
And I think, learn how to network, because most people will meet you for a coffee, will give you a little bit of their time, or will answer questions or whatever. But once you're demanding a significant amount of time from them, or not understanding maybe their work hours or how they like to work, if you DM me, which I'm okay with getting DMs, but if it's a work related DM and I ask you to email me, then that the method that I want to communicate about this is to email me. So a lot of people are good about that. They'll send me a link and I'm you know what? Email this to me so I can look at it when I go through my emails.
In your own time.
But if I ask you to email me and then you go back to DMs, then you're going to. So it's little things that maybe you don't think of, but maybe you're actually DMing somebody every night when they're with their kids.
Exactly.
And they're this isn't the time. If you emailed me at 2 p.m. when I was at my desk, you'd actually get what you want.
Totally.
So knowing when and how much, I think is a very difficult thing for everybody. But a lot of people, even in very high positions, will give you that time if you figure out
the best way to approach, right? You know, I feel like to an extent everybody's like human, right? And I think in the same way as like everybody's also been in that position where you're trying to do stuff, you know, where you're trying to get up in your career, or you're trying to work things out or whatever. So I think I'd say 9 times out of 10 people understand, right? You know, especially in Hamilton, I've found as well, because I find people so supportive in Hamilton of like trying to, you know, everybody's trying to bring the city up in a way, you know, I find it's from here anyway, you know. So
like, and I mean, I've had people, like, I do a lot of our grant writing, so I've had people be like, can you point me where to go? 100%. But then I've had people be like, can you weekly send me an update of the grants due that week? And I'm like, that sounds like a job now.
It does. Yeah.
So again, just like you know when to volunteer and not work for free and not do work for free, as well as an artist. Like if you're an artist, you should not be playing for free in most cases. Maybe there's cases that make sense, a showcase or whatever. But knowing when to work for free and not, you have to think it's the same thing for the industry and for people above you of when to give their time and their knowledge for free. Yeah. And when you're now asking them to do a job for you. Like, hey, do you want to take over my social media page? No, that's a job. But if you send me some posts and be like, are these effective? Are these working? Maybe I can give you some comments, right?
Or something. Yeah.
So it's like, it's knowing the difference.
Man, it's wild what some people just like must go through some people's head, right? Is what is appropriate and what's not appropriate sort of thing, you know? It's wild, right?
And then it's hard, then it's awkward, and it's hard for that person to turn you down, and then it's kind of, so learning, and maybe you'll make mistakes sometimes, but like learning how to approach people.
Exactly. It's hard to do, especially, oh my god, even like crossing cultures, you know, as a Brit in Canada, sometimes you learn that like cultures are even different, you know what I mean? So it's that's
and if you ask somebody for a meeting or a coffee or whatever, please have things to talk to them about. Don't just sit there and expect them.
Has this happened?
Very rarely, actually. I've had some really good meetups recently that people have asked, and they've come with questions. They've been ready. But I can think of one really awful one a few years ago where like the person just looked at me and was like, so, and I was just like, I didn't ask you to come here. You asked me.
I would be so annoyed at that.
It's really hard. Just like you asked me to do this podcast. If you just looked at me and expected me to ask the questions, it'd be weird, right?
So I'll try that on with somebody next time just to see what happens, you know?
That would be a very interesting, like, that's a new podcast idea.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, definitely ask people for a little bit of their time if it will benefit you. But if they say yes, make sure you're prepared and you're ready.
Wow. Again, what goes through your head to just sit there and expect you to talk to them?
It was,
That's quite an experience. That sounds like it could be a reality TV show or something like that. You know, we should try that.
Yeah.
We should try that.
Or just like ditching them. You ask for their time. But without good reason that day, you're like, never mind, can't make it. Bye. I've had some of those too where they weren't even like,
that's when it just gets to be disrespectful, right?
They weren't really apologetic about it. They were just like, sorry, maybe another time. And I was like, you asked me?
Yeah, that's not happening the next time, mate.
And you're offended. You're like, was I not good enough to talk to you? Did he change your mind?
This is, and then we overthink about everything, Lisa. Oh my God. It's so true.
So there are people too. The people you want to learn from are people too.
Interesting. Okay. Well, so thanks so much for coming down, because we've talked about how busy people are, and you're probably one of the busiest people in the music industry in Hamilton, I'm pretty sure of it. So thanks for your time. So just before you go though, I was going to ask, like, instead of all shop talk, so what's Lisa's music? What do you listen to? I'm fascinated to know.
I lean towards R&B.
Oh, nice. Okay. Which is, again, a good thing in Hamilton, I guess. It's got kind of a
it's growing. Thing. Yeah. There's quite a few really strong artists here. I mean, Brandy is my favorite all-time artist, like 90s R&B kind of thing. Definitely good vocals.
Yes. Yeah.
Good strong vocals in any genre. I'm like, okay, I can listen to this. But R&B, some hip hop. I do like hip hop.
Because it seems like in Hamilton, from what I see, there seems to be, especially amongst like younger people that are trying to be artists rather than like, I guess old dudes in cover bands sort of thing. There does seem to be a whole lot of hip hop that's branching out of Hamilton, really. You know, there's a lot around. And
there is, and you know what? It was very disjointed for a while.
Yeah.
A lot of people trying to do things all separately.
Yeah.
It's coming together a little bit more like a community. But it's just, again, go to everybody's shows.
Yeah.
Go to your friends' shows if you want them to go to yours. I think I've said this like
no, but it's so true. So true.
Um,
People forget it, or people don't realize it. And I don't know if it's musicians. I don't know if it's people who are not musicians. But it's just like that is the key missing thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I've had artists on here that say that it's all about like economics or whatever, whereas like people just can't afford to go out anymore. And I get it and stuff like that. But it's just like, man, instead of watching like Netflix, go and see somebody just try something new, you know. Try something, see what's happening, because it's that's how the community starts, and you never know what comes from that community.
But the hip-hop scene, like, I'm seeing the younger artists do that a lot more, like support each other, and trying to at least show up for each other. So we need that to happen.
It's on the way.
Yes.
It's on the way.
Yeah.
Hamilton's going to be on the map, Lisa, and you're going to be the queen of it all. You're going to be the queen of it all, leading us all into success. We can't wait for it. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming down, Lisa. And if anybody wants to DM you appropriately on Instagram, where can they find you on socials and all that sort of stuff?
So my Instagram's Lisa_La Rocca.
Love it. Love that name. That's such a cool name.
Thank you.
And Sonic Unyon as well.
Sonic Unyon. Yep. Supercrawl has its own page. All of our things have their own pages. But yeah, I mean, feel free to add me, DM me. If I ask that you move it off,
just do that. Yeah, just do that.
If you've been asked also to email somebody, it's probably because they're taking it seriously and they're taking it more professionally.
Exactly right.
So
because I imagine when you ask that, sometimes people take offense to it and they're like, "Oh, well, it can't be." And if it's going to like your real email, it means that it's something that you want to like have the time to
exactly.
To look at it,
so but follow me. We do a lot of things, so I try to like post most of them and keep people aware. So
I went to the beer festival the other month, which was great, and there's some super cool acts playing the next one, right? You've got the Sheepdogs playing, down
with Webster.
I was like, wow. So check it out on Sonic Unyon's website, all that stuff, all the event information's there.
Thank you so much.
And Supercrawl coming up as well in September, which is going to be fun. So yeah, thanks guys. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to subscribe. There'll be a button down below somewhere where you can do all that, and you won't miss an episode. And we will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.